Welcome to another episode of The Wrench in the Machine, the podcast where we dive deep into the mechanics of the manufacturing world and explore the innovations shaping the industry. I am your host, Mehak Bhatia, and today we are discussing a topic that's on everyone's mind: the future of work in manufacturing. This is part two of our exploration where we will delve into the transformative changes that will impact workers across the organizations, from executive suite to the production line. And joining me for this insightful conversation is Dipankar Ghosh, an expert in manufacturing and automation.
Hi, Mehak. Thanks for having me again at the wrench in the machine. And I'm really excited to share my thoughts about whatever you're going to ask me. So bring it on.
Great, Dipankar. So, let's discuss how digital transformation can be linked to specific business priorities, especially those that C suites and HR leaders are currently focusing on. According to you, how are you leveraging technology to enhance employee engagement and productivity?
And the technology has a very interesting role to play in terms of having your employees engaged and also having them productive. For instance, the technology that is being used or can be used for doing the work that the employees do also record a lot of data. And you can use advanced data analytics to get insights into their performance and even their level of satisfaction, their job satisfaction. And we also know that automation and AI are now becoming a daily it's a part of the daily use of the worker. Is Even if it is not ubiquitous, it is gradually getting to be ubiquitous. And in the next 4, 5, 6 years, you will see that they have become so ubiquitous that employees would have more free time to do creative work rather than routine, boring stuff. Similarly, there are digital communication tools which are being used for better collaboration and also doing work remotely, but at the same time collaboratively. So these are some of the employee engagement and productivity tools where the areas where the role of technology is going to play a big role, a big part. So you can think of AI, which I was talking about, as a kind of a factory's autopilot, and which takes over the routine tasks so that workers can focus on innovation in doing more creative activities. And at the same time, with data analytics, giving managers the insights into the performance and engagement and satisfaction of the workers, managers can be more like coaches and provide very personalized guidance to help employees to become more productive and also being more engaged with their work.
Right. And I think it's fascinating to see how technology can really transform the workplace dynamics.
Absolutely. Becoming more productive also leads to a lot of work satisfaction. And also when your time is freed up to do more creative activities, then yeah, obviously your engagement also increases. And with advanced data analytics, as I was saying, the key part of the manager's role also changes. It's more about guiding and coaching rather than supervising and looking over the shoulders as to what their employees are doing.
Exactly. That is so correct. Now, coming on to our next topic, what about upskilling and reskilling? How immersive technologies support these initiatives?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question and very topical for us at DG2O as well, because we are now proposing and propagating our AR and VR modules for training people. We know that with rapid change of technologies, the requirement of upskilling will also increase exponentially. And people may have to learn new stuff almost every day or almost at least every month or every 6 months. And that being the case, VR and AR, the immersive technologies that you're talking about, has a very important role to play. They provide hands-on, realistic simulations so that you can have your workers, you know, whether frontline workers or even back-end workers, to face realistic situations within the virtual setting, and therefore get their hands dirty in terms of learning to do the work that they are supposed to do in their real role of the when they are actually put into the line. And one of the things that also VR, AR, and such immersive technologies does is also to provide consistent training across different locations. For instance, we have seen that our VR training modules on fire safety, as an example, which is quite generic across all kinds of industries, being uh, taken very seriously and also with enthusiastically by the trainees and the training departments of companies. We're also working with a company which is one of the largest EV manufacturers in India, two-wheeler manufacturing company, who have critical processes which change with almost every new model that they bring up. And this happens quite frequently. And when critical processes change so frequently, it is very important for the workers also to be trained quickly into the with the new processes. And this is where our AR platform can play a great role in terms of the worker getting step-by-step instructions on how to complete a critical process. So I would suggest that VR and AR training are becoming a game changer for industries where hands-on experience is absolutely essential.
That's truly amazing, Dipankar. But it makes me think that how do you see AR and VR solutions playing a role in maintaining talent mobility in the face of geopolitical challenges?
Yeah, that's a big one. We're talking about geopolitics and the problems that we face. Uh,
Right.
Things have changed quite a bit since COVID-19 happened. And in fact, COVID-19 actually gave a lot of push and impetus towards collaborative working from different locations, from remote locations. And this is where, you know, things like VR, AR, and other, XR technologies have developed very quickly in terms of bringing in the right kind of environment for people to become more productive, even if they are not at the same place. So what COVID-19 did was to tell us that look, we cannot always be at the shop floor in a manufacturing company as an example. That and so that we can attend to our machines, we can attend to our processes physically. Many a time we have to help somebody who is actually there remotely, or maybe we are not there. We can even work with the machine remotely as well. So, and you are talking about geopolitics, and you're talking about talent mobility. Another thing that we are seeing now is that whilst the the end of the last century and the beginning of this millennium saw our work being moved to locations and countries and geographies where they could be done in the most efficient and cost effective manner, and what we called was a borderless commercial world or a seamless commercial world has taken quite a bit of a hit because of geopolitics, whereby now people are sensing that we must have work done more near to our own locations because of this geopolitical situation, things like the Ukrainian war, for instance, or the kind of situation that has happened with regard to China and the rest of the world. That being the case, we also know that even if you shift factories from wherever you were doing businesses earlier to the place where you want it to be now to help your supply chain, you know that you may not be able to move your people from one continent to another or one geography to another too easily. And that is where these kind of technologies, where you can work collaboratively with people from different geographies, with different locations, from different time zones, come into come into play and help you to consistently work on your business and grow your business without being affected by the fact that you do not have all the talent in one place. So I would suggest that VR and AR solutions are very much like virtual bridges that can connect teams across the globe, enabling a seamless collaboration and also knowledge sharing. Workers can access training and expertise from anywhere at any time. You can have an expert sitting in, say, Japan and training people in Europe or in the US or in India using these kinds of technologies and imparting the exact same skill and knowledge that he has to these people in other places of the world.
That's indeed impressive, and it's very encouraging to know that how these technologies can ensure collaboration and productivity. But what sustainable workforce strategies you currently prioritize to ensure long-term organizational success?
Very pertinent question there. Thanks for asking that. The key word here is sustainable. Sustainable workforce strategies imply at one level that you are able to retain your workforce who have gained the knowledge and the expertise by working with you for a reasonable amount of time, and losing them automatically can be a problem for you because then you have to again replace that talent with an equal talent uh, once that person leaves. So now, and of course, we have talked about talent mobility, which essentially also means that talent will generally move from one place to another, and there cannot be, we do not see any more of those practices that we saw in our earlier generation, and to a certain extent in our generation, where people were lifers in a company and they would spend about 35, 40 years before they retired. So that's not going to work, and that's definitely not going to work in the coming years. And for instance, uh, we are talking about, you know, uh, I don't know whether you have come across this news item where LinkedIn's co-founder Reid Hoffman, just about a week back, said that within about 10 years time from now, the regular 9 to 5 work will no longer be, it will no longer be there. And I have a fairly good suspicion that he's right. The way automation is taking over, the way AI is taking over, much of the work that we do now will disappear. It will not be done the way it is being done now, or sometimes, and in many of the cases, they will disappear as well. And hence, people will be also no longer be required to do the same kind of work that they were doing now, or even perhaps spend the entire 8 hour or 12-hour shifts in one company. They may not be required to do that anymore because much of this will be taken over by automation. Hence, what Reid Hoffman is saying is that people will work for a few hours in one area and then move on to work in some other areas with some other skill and knowledge, or give this, use the same skill and knowledge in multiple places. Maybe in the morning time, he or she works in one company and kind of what we can say is a freelancing kind of a job. Or better still, if there is a lot of prosperity going, then the employee has a lot of money and stability in terms of finances and other aspects in his life, in his or her life. And therefore, they need not work the entire 8 hour day, and they may, work, or rather spend the rest of their time in traveling, reading, writing, or whatever passions they have. So this is what I envisage also in the coming years. That's how I think things will change. Now, on the face of these kind of situations, how do we continue to have our businesses running? Our businesses which will always be have the hunger for good, talented people who are skillful and who can adapt and go with the flow with the new technologies that businesses will be implementing. So one of the things that definitely the businesses have to do is to have a continuous learning culture, which we have discussed in a couple of previous episodes, particularly in the episode where we talked about innovation. So continuous learning has to be a very important feature of retaining a workforce, and also improving your workforce to ensure that your work gets done in the way it should be done to be alive in the market. Similarly, work-life balance would be another feature of sustainability in terms of the workforce. Therefore, the companies have to provide methods or environments or ecosystems to ensure that the employee has a good work-life balance, which essentially means that not spending the entire day and night in work itself. And as we see the new generation that is coming up, some people are, what I also I find, some are really mad about what they're doing and they don't mind working literally 24 hours a day on what they're working. But there are others who are good at their work but at the same time, they believe that no, I must have a life for myself as well. So that's something the companies have to recognize, acknowledge, and cater to. Therefore, continuous learning, work life balance, investing in development, and health, both physical and mental, is also a very important factor. And we know that the kind of pressure cooker, high pressure environment that we have created for ourselves over the last few decades in order to, you know, uh, grow our businesses is not sustainable. They are not really sustainable. And with the idea of work changing and with automation and AI coming, health and mental and physical health also have to be given a lot of importance by organizations for their own people, for their employees. So I can say that sustainable workforce will require a constant care and the right conditions to thrive. At the same time, the companies do have to have the right strategies uh, in order to implement the right technologies, the digital transformations that are taking place very rapidly now, and that will overtake many of the companies, I believe, in the next decade or so. So you have to have the right strategies in terms of also applying these technologies in a way so that even if your best talent leaves, you are not impacted.
That sounds impressive, and I feel promoting a healthy work life balance and fostering an inclusive culture are really a key to attain sustaining and motivated and productive workforce. That
Right,
brings on to our
absolutely.
next question.
Go
Absolutely.
ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
How
Yeah,
do
go
you
ahead, Mehak.
balance mission critical priorities with talent retention efforts?
Well, basically the same thing that I spoke about, having a positive work environment. I didn't talk about compensation. Compensation is a very important factor. So we have to be ensuring that we provide competitive compensation to our employees, recognizing them, awarding them, rewarding them, giving them the growth opportunities that they need. Some people would like to become the CEOs of the companies or the managing directors of the companies that they work in. And if they want to do that and they have talent and the capability to do that, you must provide the right training, the right inputs throughout their career so that they can grow to the up to that level. And that's something that is good for the business as well. So uh, and also use technology to streamline workflows. If you st- and that's something that I was talking to you earlier in the previous question when I said that you have to have, you have to understand what technologies and how to use and how to use them in order to ensure that your workflows are more systematic, more process oriented, and rely less on talent and more on the technology factor to be successful, those processes to be successful and effective. So if you do that, then a lot of your issues with regard to having the right talent at the right time at the right place will go away. So it is actually balancing a tightrope, no doubt about it. There, it's a lot of about balancing on a tightrope, walking on it, and staying focused so that your mission critical goals are attained, are achieved. At the same time, you have your team who are there to support you throughout with heightened morale and heightened engagement.
That sounds truly amazing, Dipankar. I also feel that streamlining the work flow would definitely boost job satisfaction and retention too.
Exactly. That is what I think as well.
Right. Now, what are your key strategies for holistic talent development and upskilling?
Uh, I talked about AI and data analytics. Now, this is something that will be used, uh, on a regular basis in the coming future in the case of human resources as well. Interestingly, I was at a NASCOM conference a couple of weeks back, and I came across a company. This is as an aside, I'm telling you. Telling you how AI is, invading or supporting. Rather than invading is not the right word. How AI is supporting HR. Uh, HR strategies or HR activities. So this company has built an AI tool which takes care of your first round of interviews. So this tool sorts out and prioritizes as to who to call for the interview. A, then this tool actually conducts the interview. There's no human person sitting there and talking to the person. Of course, the other side, the interviewee is, of course, the real person. He or she is not an AI because they are supposed to be the employee who are being going to be, you know, brought into the company. So here, AI, Mr. AI or Mrs. AI or Miss AI is sitting on this side of the table or in this side of the virtual table. On the other side, the interview, which is the real person being interviewed, and that interview can take place through this AI tool, either using voice, video, or even a written question and answers. And at the end of the interview is done, the AI tool quickly summarizes everything and creates a list of shortlisted candidates who can then go into the next round of the interview, which of course is not AI based, it is of course human based, where the managers will take over. So you can see the amount of work that is going on to automate some of the routine work, because the first level of interview is mostly routine. And this company is helping very big employers who literally hire in thousands of people to do the first level interview very quickly in the manner that I have described you right now. So that's a very interesting thing that's happening in the case of uh, HR and talent management. So going back to what I was saying, AI is invading HR, and data analytics will, as I told you, will identify the skill gaps. It will, and if you identify the gaps, then you can tailor make your training and skill development programs based on the skill gaps. Then B, AI and data analytics will help you to understand the employee engagement and satisfaction. And based on that, if you find that people are not satisfied for some reason, you can then tailor make your response to that situation based on the person's whatever the feedback the AI is giving you in terms of that person's uh, situation. So these are some of the holistic things. Of course, I talked about already that when we talk about learning opportunities have to be given. Uh, in the case of learning opportunities, one must also distinguish between two types of opportunities. One is, of course, the technical skills that need to be, given to upgrade the skill level of the employees. But at the same time, you have to start identifying your leaders and then put those leaders into leadership programs. And here also, a lot of technology can be used in order to identify the types of leaders that are coming through and going through your organization. So, and also there should be some kind of a, you know, liberty uh, as far as the employee is concerned to be able to pick and choose what kind of skills based on the interest and passion, what kind of skills they want to develop. And if they want to develop a certain kind of skills, those kind of a sort of learning many should be available from where they can pick and choose those skills and actually get trained on them. So that I would suggest is what my idea about holistic talent development and upskilling will be in the coming years.
That's truly exciting to know, Dipankar. But this makes me think, and it makes me really curious to know that how AR and analytics transforming your talent management processes.
As I said, it provides the deeper insights on the performance and the engagement of the employees. Uh, in fact, there one company wanted us to provide some kind of a solution to show the operators in the machines how engaged are they in their work. And we suggested that we could put cameras and see, and using AI and video and audio and image processing technologies, be able to let you know how much of that particular worker, not only in terms of skill, but also in terms of engagement, can be, considered to be, uh, performing in terms of engagement as well as in terms of productivity and skills. So these are the kinds of AI analytics that will gradually get incorporated in our workplace.
That's fantastic. And it brings to my next question that according to you, what are the key elements of an optimized physical work environment for the future of work?
Yeah, that's a good question because most of it that we were talking about is we were thinking that if people will get virtual. Yes, they will get virtual, but at the same time, we will not be ignoring the physical work environment. And I envisage the physical work environment to be very flexible and to ensure that the employee's physical and mental well-being is being supported. It should also be supportive of collaboration. There should be spaces for focused work, whereby one person who is very focused on certain things can spend hours and hours together without getting disturbed. At the same time, that person should be able to move to another place when he is supposed to contribute to some teamwork, where people will get together, brainstorm, discuss, debate, at the same time, put their hands together and roll up their sleeves and do something which the entire team has to do all together. So, uh, there will be spaces for focus work and there will be spaces for teamwork. There has to be a lot of flexibility and collaboration happening. The physical work environment also has to consider technology for integrating remote and hybrid work as well. While you are physically, two of you or three of you are physically on together in a location where you are working, you will have to have collaboration or connection with your colleagues who are many miles away or maybe in a different continent where they can support you with the work that you're doing. So the physical work environment has to take care of that as well in terms of technology. And we can consider the upcoming workspace as a kind of a gym with a lot of, you know, equipments and instruments for your for building your body and doing your workouts. And depending on what you need, you take those. What kind of workout you want to do, you use the specific instrument or equipment that you to do you need for that particular workout.
That's wonderful. And I think designing workspaces that balance focus and collaboration would be very essential in the future, definitely. Now, I would like to ask, what are the measures that you are taking to convert brain drain into brain gain?
You mean brain drain to brain gain? That's a
Yes.
that's a very common thing that has been being talked about for many years. In fact, when I entered the workforce some 40 years back, we were talking about brain drain, people moving out of the country, going abroad for higher studies, and settling down there, and therefore we losing our brain power to more advanced countries who can give a better, you know, work environment and better life opportunities in terms of finances and things like that. So this is not a new topic. Uh, we are, at least on the surface or based on certain reports that I see, we seem to be have been able to start reversing the brain drain in India. But I'm not sure how much, because I still see a lot of reports of people leaving the country, not only students leaving the country for higher studies and perhaps then settling down abroad the way they have been doing for the last 50 years, but also people who are entrepreneurs or who are also moving out, people who have made quite a bit of money, they are moving out of the country still. So I'm not sure whether we are still you know in the process of reversing the brain drain that we have seen for the last half a century. But it is possible. We have seen that happening in China. If you look at the US, the Chinese and the Indians are the biggest diaspora in terms of moving out of the country for studying and working there. But the Chinese have, through their various policies, it seems, been able to not only do a lot in terms of reversing the brain drain, which means that getting back those people who have gained a lot of experience and knowledge working in the US or in Europe back into their own country to develop the country. But also now there are less number of Chinese actually moving out for uh, you know overseas studies and overseas work. And how they have done it is basically they have done very fundamental things, I believe. One is that they have now really world-class universities where really high-class education is provided, and there's a lot of investments and on research and development, R&D, and they have the right environment so it to flourish there itself. So you are gaining knowledge and skills through the university system, then having the opportunity to follow your passion in terms of doing research and development to innovate bring out new products, new technologies, new processes through the research and development process, which is very well done in the West, particularly in the US, is now having, China has the right ecosystem in order to do that uh, uh, for their students and for the people who are joining their workforce. So that being the case, now lesser and lesser Chinese are now moving into the US or the Europe to study, and they're sticking there. And this is exactly, I think, what we have to do as well. We have to provide an attractive work environment. And even before we provide an attractive work environment, we have to provide the right, uh, the education and the right skills and knowledge impart in our university systems. And competitive salaries I've talked about. And when you create an ecosystem like that, automatically growth opportunities happen, and people are not looking elsewhere to go. And all of this then uh, supports retaining of talent in India rather than having our talent move out as brain drain.
Right. And I also feel that modern technology and tools could also be a key to ensure that employees can succeed and thrive that we can implement.
That's right. In fact, the more you apply these technologies, the more the chances are that you will retain your people here, and you will not you will be able to convert brain drain to brain gain.
Great. Okay. Now, Dipankar, I would like to know that what are the strategies that you are employing to empower your middle management?
Middle management is very crucial because they play a connecting role between the company's uh, goals, strategic goals, with the people who are actually working on the front line to ensure those strategic goals are achieved. And hence, uh, this is a very important leadership area. And this is also an area where you will find that right talent to grow into higher leadership positions in the company in the years to come. So such middle management people should be given leadership training. They will be should be given an opportunity to advance in their career. Uh, Perhaps they should be rotated across locations, across different divisions or departments or functions, so that they get a holistic, experience on how the company is run. They should have a reasonable amount of autonomy in decision making, and there should be a lot of open communication between the top management and the middle management, and the middle management and their frontline workers, so that, and continual feedback as well, so that this what you call this body of management, which is the middle management, become very effective not only in running the day-to-day operations of the company, but also as a foundation for future leadership for the company.
Right. I also feel that empowering middle management through leadership training and career advancement opportunities, while fostering an open communication, ensure that they are well equipped to lead and support their team efficiently.
Correct.
Right.
Absolutely right.
Now, Dipankar, how do you maintain a balance between serious business responsibilities and the human essence of your organization?
It's very easy to say but difficult to do. The idea is to treat people like human beings, and treat your employees. When I say people, they treat you, I mean your employees, as normal human beings. And consider, if you are a human being, consider what you would like to, how would you like to experience life within the company, and ensure that you are able to give that kind of experience to your people. So that is basically, and if you do that, you know there's no balance as such. There is no of course there is a balance between what we call relationship and performance. So we can't be entirely relationship oriented, that okay, I'm your friend, I'm your father, or I'm your mother, or whatever, you are my sister, so you can go home and do no work while you get your salary and paycheck. At the same time, it cannot be always performance that you are unless you produce so many quantities, you cannot go home, or you are doomed as far as your career is concerned. So that is where you have to build a balance between the performance of the person and the relationship that is within between the person and the entire company and the management and the colleagues, etc. So if we strive to develop a positive company culture with a lot of transparency and without any kind of mm, negative handling of the situations which sometimes happen in companies, uh, we will be definitely having a situation where the employees will feel safe and know that they will be supported. So that kind of flexible uh, work culture, as well as a positive company work culture, and as I said, work-life balance, including physical and mental health, all of these will help to bring a balance between the business and the human essence of the company.
That's so correct. And I really feel that balancing business responsibilities with focus on employee well being is very crucial.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Now, what do you think, Dipankar? What future trends do you see impacting manufacturing workers, both professionally and personally?
Impacting workers professionally and personally, right?
Right.
Well, uh, good question. Uh, what has happened over the years, over the decades, is that personal and professional have got intermingled too much. And to the extent that people live for work only and nothing else. I'm talking about most people. Now, as I had said, we expect increased automation, and particularly with AI, will result in a lot of churn in terms of the kind of work that we do. And if we are able to train our people to use this technology in a way that makes them more productive and frees up a lot of creative time for them, then these workers, from a professional point of view, are going to be more uh, productive in terms of innovation and help your company grow through the ups and downs of the business cycles, because of the fact that you have now a more creative workforce. So that's what I expect, uh, for workers to be impacted by this technology, by being able to become more productive in terms of being more creative and innovative, and therefore gaining more job satisfaction. And as far as personal time is concerned, or the personal aspect of the employees is concerned, as I had said, it is likely that with more time available and hopefully more prosperity, the workers will have more time for their families, and also for to dwell in their passions as well, whatever they're passionate about, apart from their the work that gives them the paycheck. So these are the two areas which I think will definitely be something that we will see over the next few years.
Fantastic. I think I cannot agree more. Uh, but that makes me think that how can workers be prepared for the challenges and opportunities to be presented by these future trends?
Yes. Now, I have spoken about the fact that the company or the organization has to take a lead role in terms of developing and upscaling and upgrading their workers by giving them the right tools, the right technologies, identifying the skill gaps, right training, etc., etc. However, I strongly believe that critical in this is also the workers or the employees' personal motivation to develop himself or herself. And that's something that has to be, you know, taken ownership by the worker themselves. They cannot leave that to the management or the company. If I am a worker and I know that there is going to be a churn, there is going to be a future will be different from what it is right now. And for that, I need to be adaptive and flexible. I have to have an open mindset and take part proactively in learning opportunities and obtain the advantage of the learning opportunities that the company gives. Additionally, I should personally and privately also work towards development, like for instance, you know, networking with other professionals in the same community from whom you can learn uh, uh, outside of work. So I would suggest they should, on their own, take courses, whether online courses or take time off to go and attend conferences, seminars, and speak to people, work on projects which are perhaps pro bono but have a potential of impacting technology and the society in a big way. So these are the kind of things that the worker can do in order to be relevant throughout his lifetime.
Absolutely. Building a versatile skill set and being adaptable will definitely navigate the evolving landscape.
Right, right, absolutely.
Right. But what role do you think that mental health and well being will play in the future of work for these manufacturing employees?
The importance of health and particularly mental health cannot be in any way de-emphasized. Unfortunately, although we acknowledge and recognize this important fact, but our focus is always on the bottom line and is always on performance, and therefore sometimes health is given a short shrift. But as we move into this new era and this newly digitally transformed era, we will see that these concerns becoming very, very important. And if not well managed and controlled, this could actually lead to a lot of problems for the company itself from its performance point of view. Therefore, there should be enough uh, actions taken by the management to ensure that there are support initiatives for providing their employees with, uh, say, counseling or stress management or training on how to reduce stress, uh, whether through counseling or through things like exercises of yoga and things like that, and bringing a positive, de-stressful culture. These are some of the things that will be very, very relevant in the coming years. Or you will see people burning out or people leaving the workforce. Even I'm talking leaving the workforce, they do not want to perhaps work anymore. That we have seen these kind of situations also arising, or moving from one company to another because that company perhaps provides a better environment and ecosystem, to deal with such health issues. So, mental health and well-being is going to be are going to be extremely important in the coming years.
Right. And I also feel the factors that you just mentioned would also help us to enhance the productivity and create a more positive workplace culture for the employees.
You couldn't be more correct, Mehak. Absolutely, you're right.
Right. Uh, Now, this brings us to the end of our session, Dipankar, and I would really like to ask you that what advice would you like to give to manufacturing workers to stay resilient in the face of rapid industry changes?
Yes, you have brought the right word onto the table, resilience, so staying resilient. Resilience is like a tree that bends in the wind but doesn't break. So it's a kind of a metaphor which says that you have to stay strong all through your life storms. And when I'm talking about life storms, it's not really only about work, but in general. But work plays a very important part in our lives. Anything that impacts our work also impacts our life as well. We know that very well. So, to remain resilient, to be able to bend without breaking, and when the storm arrives, is, is something that one can develop through you know, uh, through one's mindset and having a continuous learning and a positive mindset and having the ability to acknowledge and recognize that changes will happen and we have to change ourselves in order to adapt to those changes. If we acknowledge that, that automatically will bring us uh, to a mindset zone where we are always ready for these kind of changes and we are always preparing ourselves for these kind of changes. I'm not going back to the words of that famous book which Andy Grove of Intel wrote many years back. Only the paranoid survive. Yes, it's true that even now only the paranoid survive. But I do not want to be paranoid, but I want to survive. And the only way I can do it is to by not really being paranoid about what's happening or not happening, but being so to be resilient is not that difficult if you have the right mindset in place where you are aware of your environment and you are aware of the fact that there will be changes in technology and those technology changes and societal changes will also change you and your life and you have to be ready for it. So that's the advice that I would give, Mehak, to all our listeners as to how they can start preparing for resilience in their lives.
Wonderful, Dipankar. I think me and our listeners could not be motivated anymore. Thank
Thanks so
you.
much. Thanks,
Thank
Mehak.
you,
Thanks very much.
Dipankar. Thank you so much for sharing your insights on the future of work in the manufacturing. It's been a fascinating discussion, Dipankar. Thank you very much.
You're most welcome, and I thank our listeners as well for being there and going through this podcast. And we hope to bring them more such podcasts with the leading brains in the manufacturing industry in the future. Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Thank you very much. That wraps us today's episode of The Wrench in the Machine. Stay tuned for more conversations on the innovations and trends shaping the manufacturing industry. Until next time, keep turning those wrenches and pushing the boundaries of what's possible. Thank you so much, and do not forget to subscribe.